Okay, so in this video, we're going to explain to you what it looks like behind the scenes after you make your first sale. If you're just learning, you know, a lot of people are very afraid and hesitant just to start one, not because they've heard a lot of horror stories of people losing a lot of money, and even experienced sellers have lost a lot of money through shipping. And I'm going to show you the back end. I'm not going to show any names, so we have to be very careful not to show any names. So if I angle the camera out of the way. Okay, so to get here, you have to go to, top right. Go to, like, we have 121,000 followers at this point, December 13th. We hit the 7-month mark on December 8th. And so now you go to shipments, right? And then it'll take you to this tab. Mind you, we're being careful of not showing any names on here. So now this is where you choose the shipments. You can choose your shipping profiles right there. You choose the show that you're working on, and we have multiple shows a day, or multiple show every single day. So it shows you when this says pending shipments, what this means is it hasn't been scanned yet, or is not. There's no movement in USPS, and I highly recommend you do a USPS scan sheet, and I'll show you how to do that in this video. Okay, so now I'll explain why. So now this is how it looks like: sales, completed earnings. Our completed earnings is as soon as we print the labels, we get paid out. If you're a beginner, you don't get paid that until it's delivered, 4 hours after it's delivered. So that's how I highly recommend beginners. They do priority mail shipments only because, the faster is delivered, you get your money faster and you can reinvest. So it also shows your shipping spend. This is from the giveaways, right, that we do every day. The items sold, 250, but only 244 delivered. What does that mean? There's 6 items still not delivered. November 25th, and today's December 13th. That is crazy, but that is Q4. That is USPS. USPS is nuts. So now we scroll down, and you will see how much the customer has paid for that bundle. How much does it weigh? 80 ounces, 12 by 12 by 12 dimensions. That's the default, right? And now it shows delivered. Also, the tracking number. If you click on that, it will pop up in USPS's website, and then you can also see their video receipt of what they bought. Check that out. So when a customer has a complaint, you can always bring up these video receipts up to 90 days ago or 60 days ago, and you can see exactly what they sell. Mind you, these video receipts are usually one-off. So if I click on this, it's not that item, it's the next item, depending on how long the show is. So this one was 4 hours, so it's pretty accurate then. It's 4 hours, so this is pretty accurate. But the longer the show is, the video receipt will be a little off. So it won't be that item, it'll be the next item. I like to use the phone too. If you check this out, watch this. On the phone is much easier. For example, I could search up any single number I want. I can search up 349, and if I'm looking for the exact date, so this is December 12th. And so if I want to look for 349 on December 3rd, I can go here, video receipt, and then I like this better because you can go forward 10 seconds and back 10 seconds, right? And so if you watch this. So this is why this is built buyer confidence. On that video, you can see 349. Not only does it help us for shipping sake, but it also helps the customer know what item they bought when they look back at the video, if we're not seeing the number. And a lot of people don't do that and whatnot, but we do. Most of the time, when we're moving at a faster pace, we don't show the number on camera, but we try our best to do it so buyers can, buy with confidence. They'll come back and they know, I'm able to see what I purchased. That's the difficult part about doing random polls on whatnot and just doing by numbers. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Since we do one item, one weight, check this out. For example, each of our item weighs 16 ounces on average, right? 16. That's 80 ounces. Now, it also shows the number that they purchased: 169, 175, 177, 181, and 185. All this pops up on the packing slip, and also, you can print the packing slip and the shipping label all in the same order. And so when we're picking out the orders, we just pick out 169, 175, 177, 181, 185. We put it, throw it in a box, right? And most of the time, it is under 80 ounces. Why? Because they probably bought a cable, they bought a charging hub that's under 16 ounces, and it all averages out, right? So now, most people don't know you can do this. Now, let's see. Okay, so this is a show that we haven't shipped out yet. We're shipping it out on Monday because it's a 3-day show. 898 items sold. Obviously, none of them delivered. We haven't got paid out yet. If you check this out, zoom in. Estimated earnings, completed earnings. We have not got paid out yet because we have not printed any labels. But if you check this out, if I generate this label right here, since this is a full bundle, I could generate the label. Wait, let me see. It's a full bundle. Yep, it's a full bundle. Right, I could just click generate label and look what happens. It generates the label. Right, let it load. Bam. That's the label. I could click print. And now check this out. If I want, right, once I pack everything up and I put in a box and I weigh the box, and if it's in a flat rate box or if it doesn't, for example, you're doing small items like health and beauty, and it's heavier than 5 pounds, you can always switch it to a large flat rate box, update labels, and it's completely free. And it doesn't count as a weekly label adjustment. Why? Because priority mail is the highest tier. We're downgrading to a flat rate box. Priority mail large shipping box, 12 by 12 by 10, is more expensive than a large flat rate box that is 12 by 12 by 8, up to 70 pounds. So it's completely free just to toggle this on if needed. And now what that does is just it generates a new label, and you just have to print the label again. And the label will change from 80 ounces to large flat rate box. Mind you, a large flat rate label can only be on a large flat rate box. You cannot put, and I repeat, do not do this, you cannot put large flat labels on large shipping boxes. Large shipping boxes do not say flat rate. You cannot do that. One more time. You cannot put a large flat rate label in a large shipping box or any box, priority mail box, that does not say flat rate. Large flat rate means it has to be on a large flat rate box. Okay? Now, so what you can also do now, for example, you can generate a scan sheet. Okay, let's reload. Hold up. Let's reload this. Okay, so you just needed to, so you refresh the page, and now it'll give you the option to generate a scan sheet. Generate USPS scan sheet, and I highly recommend for anyone, beginner, advanced, you need to be doing USPS scan sheets. Why? Hold up. Let me open that up. This is how a scan sheet looks like. That's our address. It doesn't matter. You already know if you bought from us, you know where we are, 1100 East Linden Avenue. It shows one priority mail box, right? Why? I have 800 items sold so far because I only generated one label. There's one box, one shipment, one total. So now what does this mean? When USPS comes and picks it up from us, they scan this, and in the system, it appears as they picked it up. They accepted it. They accepted the package, right? And so, on a regular day, this usually says like 250. So USPS doesn't have to scan every single box, every single label. They just scan this and bam, 250 automatically updates in their system. And why do you have to do this? Why should you do this? I highly recommend you do this, especially during Q4, during this very busy season. USPS is very, very, they will lose your package. And they will take days to update your packaging. Now, Whatnot system flagged you as being late. The shipments are late because it took 5 days for it to check in. When you dropped it off the next day, we drop off within 24 hours. And let me show you this. So if you check out our account health, check this out, right? We're at 99.35. 300 orders were scanned in late, over the past 90 days, which I don't really believe in. We just forgot to do scan sheets here and there, and it takes 3 days for it to check in on Whatnot, because for us to take 48 hours to drop off is nearly impossible since we're always turning over inventory, always shipping out. And so look what happened here. On November 3rd, right, we did not use a scan sheet. We did not produce a scan sheet. But check that out. All of December 3rd were late, but let me explain why. We scanned it in on December 8th. Even though we dropped off December 4th, I told my shippers, just scan it in. Why? Because I'd rather the system flag it as late than not checked in. Because, for example, for any single order, doesn't matter what order, this order, for example, it says we didn't scan it in, and whatnot will and the customer says they didn't receive it, the customer will say, I didn't receive my order, and what does whatnot do? Whatnot refunds their money, and we take a ding for it. Now, if we scan it in, like we dropped it off on December 4th, but like it was like December 7th or 8th that I scanned it in. I was like, just scan the scan sheet, because in the system it shows that we didn't drop it off, but we did drop it off. Just scan it in, because I'd rather have this go down than in the system showing that we didn't drop it off, even though, like I said, we did. So I'd rather show it that we dropped it off late than that we didn't drop it at all. And so that's why all of December 3rds are late. Now look at November 24th. This is what I mean. November 24th, we didn't produce a scan sheet. We didn't produce a scan sheet. This one we did. It's just that in the system, when the driver came and scanned in it didn't scan in, and I didn't notice until a few days later. And so I told my shippers, just scan it. Doesn't matter. Scan it. If it's late, it's late. I don't care. But we need to scan it, because then we're hold reliable if it doesn't pop up in the system as dropped off. Now, this is a different scenario. November 24th, we didn't produce a scan sheet. This was Saturday. And so I told my manager, my shipping manager, I was like, oh, it's Saturday. We'll drop it off Monday. No matter what, it's going to be on time. Nope. This show, I don't know what happened. We dropped it off. This show was from Saturday. We dropped it off on Monday. I do not know what happened with USPS. It took 9 days for all these orders to pop up. Yeah, because it was November 2nd. It was a Friday, We dropped off on we didn't scan the sheet on Saturday. And so what happened was we didn't bring any scan sheets. Sometimes the whatnot doesn't allow you to generate a scan sheet. I highly recommend do not drop off unless you have the scan sheet, because this is what happens. USPS doesn't scan it into their system for 9 days. 9 days. And so it appears as late, even though we didn't ship out late. And so that's very frustrating, especially for us, because I aim for under 1 day shipping. I have the systems for it. And so highly recommend use those scan sheets. Okay, now let's get back to shipping. So check this out. Even though I produced this label already, I can always change the scan the shipping information, and I'll show you how. So you go here, and then look, I can always just drop, I don't know why you would do that. You could just, 60 ounces always going to be the same price as 80 ounces. The price doesn't change. $0 label adjustment cost. And I could always change the large flat rate, and it does not change. And it doesn't count as a label allowance. The 5 out of 5 that you have per week, it doesn't change. Where it does change is if you do it over 80 ounces. So it could be 90 ounces. And that's how much they'll charge you to change it to 90 ounces. Now, if I want to change it to double that, 160 ounces, it costs $3 to change to 160 ounces, right? And it'll most likely be it'll change it to ground shipping unless your settings are different. My settings are priority mail, 1 to 5 pounds, priority mail over 5 pounds. And so, yeah, this is how you change it if you need to. If you really do, if it goes over 80 ounces and you want to change it to like 160 ounces, that's how much it'll charge you. But you have 5 free allowances per week. So, that's why it says $0, because I still have 5 for the week. And we rarely use that. Now, if you really need to unbundle the box because it doesn't fit in the box or any of your boxes, you could do unbundle shipment, and then you choose which one you want to take out the box, right? And it'll put it a separate shipment, right? And then you accept it. You click unbundle selected items, right? Unbundle selected items, and it'll ask you if you're sure, and it'll be 5 and 5. And then they'll have their own weight, but then it's 2 separate boxes. Those 2 separate boxes, you can max it up to 80 ounces each, and it'll still count as 1 shipping allowance. Why? Because all you did was unbundle the shipment. It's still over 16 ounces, and so now whatnot paid for that $9.21, and you just can max it back at 80 ounces. And so now you have 2 two boxes, 2 labels that both say 5 pounds. And so that's a little trick that I just taught you there. Now also, for example, if this, for example, the customer paid 160 ounces, right? You know, if you have a max bundle size of 10 items and each item is 16 ounces, that's 160 ounces, right? You know, that's 10 pounds. But if it's in a flat rate box, for example, you can always just do this. You can always just toggle it to a flat rate box and it'll be completely free. It'll be completely free. Why? Because the customer paid for 160 ounces, which is 10 pounds, which would probably be for them like $12, $15 in shipping. But to change it to a large flat rate box is $9.21. So it's cheaper, so you can downgrade to that. You know, it's free. That's why it wouldn't charge you. Okay? All right. Now, let's go over shipping profiles, which is very, very important. You have to keep in mind when you are creating shipping profiles, instead of default profiles that Whatnot provides, and they do their AI smart bundling, which I don't like because they don't put a max. These shipping profiles never mix, right? If I run one listing on this one and one listing on this one, they will never mix. So that's why people do small, medium, large, right? So a small shipping profile could be small, which can be, 15 ounces, and then you can max it out at, 5 items for small items, right? And then if you want, you could also do this. This is what I've been doing lately, 75 ounces for one item. So you're not guessing, or if they only buy one item, it's more than 15 ounces. It's not 15 ounces. You do 75 ounces no matter what. It's priority mail and 75 ounces. And every item after that, you could just do 1 ounce. This is what I was talking about in my other video. So 1 ounce. So 80 ounces, average, no matter what, it won't go over 5 pounds because you have, your items don't weigh more than 1 pound. But just in case it does, they paid up to 75 ounces on the first item, but every item after that is 1 ounce. This is one example. This is small or medium, for example. Medium, you could just do 80 ounces or 75 ounces, max it out 2, and then put every item at 1 ounce. Doesn't matter because nothing's going to go over 2 pounds. And so you do 78 ounces plus 1, it's going to be 79. You could really just do 79, so just max it out at 80 because that's still 921, 1 to 5 pounds. And you can use a priority mail box. That's medium. And then large, 80 ounces, max it out at one item. And then you don't add anything, no additional items, because it's just a max of 1 item. So if you ever wonder how people do fill a box method, which we'll talk about in another video, a fill a box method is you create a shipping profile, and you could call this fill a box shipping profile, and add this under a listing that says fill a box. 80 ounces, that's 5 pounds. 1 item, which, it's just 1 box, 1 item, 1 bundle, max. When you put that under a listing, you go on camera, you get a flat rate box, you fill up the box. It doesn't matter how much it weighs, because no matter what they know is you can change a priority mail box that says 5 pounds to a large flat rate box label at the end in the shipments, and that's why I showed you in this video. So, this is highly recommend you do that. Fill a box is one method of selling. Another method of selling is bundling 2 items. Another method is, choose buyer's choice. You have 5 plushies and you show them, the 5 plushies, and be like, whoever wins, you get to choose what you want, and you'd be surprised. You could also do a mystery. I have 5 and I pick for you. And they say yes, There's a lot of methods of selling. We'll go over that in another video, but this one was just to show you on-hand shipping, And so let me show you one more thing on what you can't see on the laptop, what you can only see on the phone, is when you go to Seller Hub at the bottom, and then you go down to shipping settings. This is where you can adjust your shipping choices. So priority mail is what we highly recommend in my Discord group, that you just choose priority mail, because if you have to downgrade, you can. It's cheaper, priority mail, and then priority mail, and then you can, apply to schedule shows. One advice I do have for everyone: do not mess with your shipping profiles or mess with your listings and their shipping profiles while you're on the show. If you move this, for example, this is a fill-up box on one of my shows, and somebody's complaining, oh, the box is in $9.21 for me. Maybe they're in Guam, Hawaii, which is like $27 to $40 per box. For, there is a $9.21. It's like $27 or $45. Now, this, do not touch this. You cannot touch this while you're on the show because it will reset everybody's bundle. How do I know this? Because this happened to me before. I was messing with the shipping profiles while my streamers were on live, and you know how many comments I got in the lives? I don't have free shipping anymore. What happened to my free shipping? Well, it's because I touched that. And my brother just told me recently. He said, bro, I don't know what's going on. I'm like, did you change it while you were on live? He's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, that's why they're not seeing free shipping, because every time you change it, it just keeps resetting. So if you see someone complaining about their shipping not showing as free after the first or second or third item, it's because the app is glitching, and it happens pretty often, at least once a day. And so what the solution is to that is they exit the app or they exit out the show and they come back into your show and they'll see free shipping. Now, if they do swipe when it shows $9.21 under or whatever shipping price it shows at the bottom, it doesn't show free shipping, Whatnot will charge them that. Now, the solution to that is they have to reach out to Whatnot and tell them, I was supposed to have free shipping on my third or fourth or fifth item, whichever item, however your settings are set up. They have to reach out and tell them, yeah, I was supposed to have free shipping. Okay, they know they have glitches in their system. So that is how you fix that. So that's only if they swipe when they're supposed to have free shipping. If they're supposed to have free shipping and they don't have free shipping, but they swipe, it will charge them that. So before they see that, they need to exit the app and come back in and then bid. They'll see free shipping. Okay, it's just a glitch in the system. I don't know why it works like that, but it happens pretty often. So yeah, I just show you how to do a small, medium, large shipping bundle, shipping profile, how the shipments work. Shows you the ounces, how you could change the ounces, change the large flat rate box for free if you have priority mail because it's downgrade. And then the labels print. You could ship. When you're generating all the labels in mass, 250 labels at once, which we do. We always print all the labels all at once, so we know we have a pile of labels, and so we know how many orders we have left. If you look on the screen and constantly looking at the screen, you're gonna get lost. You're going to get lost of where I started, where to end, which orders haven't I done yet. So print all the labels before you start shipping. End the show, print all the labels, and you'll see, bam, stack of labels, and now you know when you're finished. Yeah, but that's basically it for this video. And if you like this video, like, comment, subscribe. Share the video. Use my links down below if you want to work one-on-one with me and learn more. Apply, and we'll see if you're the right fit. All right. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Until the next video.